Welcome, everyone. This presentation is for families on high school graduation information, and it's primarily developed for families who are new to the U.S. school system. My name is Lorna Gilmore, and I am a family partnership specialist. And pretty much what that means is that I am a teacher on special assignment, basically. And my assignment is to be a teacher leader in the district, support teachers in understanding and communicating with our families. Also, I do a lot of parent presentations, and I also support the 3 family liaisons that are assigned to all the high schools, middle schools, and elementary schools in the district. Melanie?
Hi, my name is Melanie Bonanno, and I am a counseling coordinator working from the district office supporting our K-12 counselors district-wide.
And we're both part of the Equity, Belonging, and Family Partnership Department. In our Spanish session and our Mandarin session, we also have family liaisons and school counselors doing the presentation, the exact same presentation, just translated. We'll be doing it in Russian, Korean, and Japanese at later dates if you have any questions. But this is mainly designed to ensure that our families fully understand the school system, especially for families who are new to the school system or families maybe who haven't experienced school for years, because we do not want that a parent's lack of understanding about a school system or the system be the reason why the child cannot access education or your child is not successful in getting everything they should be getting and being able to access in the school system. So a little bit background about me. As a family partnership specialist, I am also a teacher, and this is my 29th year in teaching. I've worked 5 years in high schools, 15 years in a middle school, and I worked as a dean of students in an elementary school for a couple of years also. But based on all this experience, we and my work in the past 8 years in this role as family partnership specialist, I have been able to work and had the privilege of working with many families in the school district. And one of the key things that has come up over the years is that many families who are new to the US school system culture are very confused as to why certain choices or some of the systems and policies that we have, because it is so new. Families sometimes don't have a mental model as to what is the big picture and understanding the philosophy of the US school system, which is different than the philosophy of education in many other countries. We also want to make sure that families know what students are doing in schools as they plan for their post high school life, which is something called high school and beyond. We'll talk more about that. There are options called graduation pathways that are created by the state of Washington. And we also want to give you as parents some tips as to what you can do as you step away from this and conversations you could potentially have with your child. So one of the main things for families who have not experienced US public high school is that US public high school is free to all students living in the attendance boundary of that high school. Many families have asked me, oh, do I need to apply? Will I get accepted? How do I get into the school? Can I go to this other school? And it's really mainly about boundary, and all children between the 8 and 18 have the right to access education. And it's literally all students living in Washington state. So this is not about citizenship or anything like that. So it is a guaranteed admission, no application, no registration process to transfer from middle school to high school. You will, if you have a child in middle school, when you eventually go to high school, you will do a course registration process, but it's not a registration process, okay, as an application process. It is to choose the courses you'll be taking, and you will get more information about that either from me in February and your high school in February, March. But one of the other philosophies for high schools is that it's a time for students to explore their interests so that they are ready for whatever they choose to do after high school. And one of the most significant reasons for this is the concept that students are their own individual and the individual makes these choices. It is an individualistic culture versus a collectivist culture. So there's a push for students to advocate for themselves, the student to choose their pathway, for the student to explore and make these choices. So it's again about the individual child. And as such, it's a student choice. Students choose classes based on their own interests, their own career pathway, and or post high school plans. And the reason this is important to talk about is very often we in the school district find families who are asking to make decisions on behalf of their child. And we always encourage, and you're going to see us push back a little bit and say, have you spoken to your child? What does your child want to do? And very often, even counselors will say, I really, it's hard for them to talk just to the student, the parent alone in planning the child's life. They want to make sure that the child is involved because, again, as part of the culture, it's about the individual, and each individual has the right to make these choices that are going to impact them as they move out of high school. So as we said, in also the big philosophy for school system is in some countries, the college, going to college is a very linear path. In the upper level secondary schools, you take certain courses. It's sometimes you don't have choice, and that's why it's just the courses offered by that school. Sometimes there are choices, but very few in the many options that as are offered in the US. Also, based on taking a prescribed set of classes, at the end, you usually take a very important exam. And based on that, the score of that exam, that kind of determines what kind of colleges you can potentially go to. The scores on that exam are critical in determining your future college choice. In the US, it's very different. And so, as parents are applying for college in the beginning of their senior year, it gets confusing because for them, they're like, well, what do I choose? What's better? Why? So, we hear a lot of whys. And the reason being is even in the college system, very often colleges are looking for individuals. Colleges are looking for a well rounded student. A college is looking to hear about the student's life and their story. Who are you and what makes you you? What are your passions? What are your interests? That's where the essays they write, that's where the letters of recommendation, if the college is looking for that, uh, is going to come in handy. That's where their outside activities, maybe they do sports, maybe they're doing clubs, maybe they're working, maybe they have some kind of hobby that's a passion in their life, but they're looking for that. And very often, college people, parents ask, well, what do I need to do to get into X or Y or Z college? And we cannot give you a set answer because there are many different things that colleges may be looking for. And the main thing is the college is looking at the whole student. So it's that holistic concept of what they're looking for. In addition, in some countries, to go to college, students really need to pass their final year and take this test. In the US, it is always surprising to some families to realize a kid might not even have graduated from high school. They may have dropped out and then done some kind of a GED, a graduation diploma outside, or maybe they, after college, after high school, they ended up going to a technical school or to a community college or to a 2 year school. And then a couple years down the line, they may have applied to Harvard or UW or some big school, and now they could be a doctor. So just because you don't go to college straight out of high school, it does not limit your path. It is not limiting to your options. Students still have many options. Some kids take a gap year, and that doesn't reflect poorly on them. That's just a choice they make, and then they can still apply. So, how do we accept some of those concepts and ideas that kids can do so many different things when sometimes for some people who grew up in other countries, I grew up in India, and so for me even it's hard because when I think of high school, I have a default. And even when I talk to Melanie, the first thing I'll say is, oh, to go to college. And she has to remind me, well, not necessarily. There are other options, right? And that's the whole thing we want to make sure parents understand because we want to make sure we are working with your child. You're working with your child because that's how we work with them to make sure the child is thinking, considering, and they might be working hard to go to college. Great, that's their choice. Or they might have some other plan and idea, and let's talk about that. What can we do to help make sure that we're preparing them to be as successful as they want to be as they move out of high school? So, as I said, colleges look for a wide variety of information about the applicants rather than a specific exam or give me all this, a list of all the highest, most rigorous classes. So it is sometimes they look at certain classes, sometimes they look at other classes. They might look for certain things based on their majors more than others, but it's also very dependent on the college you're applying for and what that college is looking for. And so a lot of homework needs to be done because, again, everything is unique. So the high school graduation requirements, at the very basic, the requirements for students to graduate from high school is that they need 24 credits, a minimum, okay, of 24 credits from in specific subject areas. I'm not listing them here. You can go to the website and I'll list some other ones. But if you are in middle school, you will see the list also there to specific classes. Like you need 4 credits of English, 2 or 3, mainly you need to get done with Algebra 2 of math. You need 2 or 3 of science. You need a certain number of uh, social studies. You need PE and health. So there's a list of classes you are required to take, so, and a minimum of 24 to graduate from a Washington State public school. In addition, students must complete something known as a high school and beyond plan. And each student must develop this high school and beyond plan as a guide to help them determine what their interests are. And it includes their high school experience to help guide them towards their graduation, including graduation pathway and plans for post-secondary education. Students also need to take a Washington history class, and most students in the Issaquah School District have taken that class in 7th grade. If you and your family moved to the United States after your child was in 7th grade or started after 8th grade and beyond, don't worry, your child can still take Washington State history in high school for an elective credit. It doesn't mark against you, anything like that. It's completely fine. It's very, many kids are coming from different states, so it's normal. And many states have that requirement. My husband went to school in California and he was required to take a California state history class. So just when to graduate, you need to take this history class from that state in certain states. And then finally, students must meet the requirements of at least one of the district approved graduation pathways in alignment with the high school and beyond plan to be eligible for to graduate. And there, right there, that requirement sometimes confuses some parents. And so that's why we're doing that. Because in talking to parents, especially who might be looking for alternative pathways, this is where they sometimes have questions. So the 24 credits, students take 7 classes each day, except for the Tuesday, Wednesday class. And so 7 classes, 7 credits for that year times 4 years, students can earn up to 28 credits. And remember, they only need 24 credits for their graduation. And so 7 of the 24 credits are flexible. So many of these are elective credits and credits that they take for their personalized pathway requirements. that they may have indicated on their high school and beyond plan. And this is very important. And we'll talk about this, and we're going to repeat this over and over again, that a lot of these credits are credits that show students' interest. They're optional classes, elective classes, or maybe they're extra math and science classes or history classes or other classes that students are taking because it's part of their passion, it's part of their interest. It's for students to explore fields that they may be interested in. Because some of the fields, they may take one or two classes and realize, oh, I absolutely don't like this. And sometimes they'll be interested in physics or engineering or something and take some engineering or physics classes and advanced one, realize, nope, I really love that biology class. Or maybe they really enjoy that environmental science class, or maybe they really loved their art class and their design class. So it's to help them see what their passion is, and is this some passion that they are interested in pursuing as a career. So students will choose classes that meet these high school graduation requirements and plan for any additional requirements for post-high school education or college that match their plan. And Melanie is going to go into much more details about the high school and beyond plan. And before she takes it off, I just want to make sure we recognize that the high school and beyond plan is something that students develop over time based on their individual interests, their career pathway or post-high school plans.
10分钟吧，是这样的歌。
And they make this based on self-evaluations, activities and surveys that they do online in a certain portal we'll talk more about. And so that this way they have ideas of what are some classes they can take to help them with their post-high school plans. And why did the Washington State add this as a requirement? It's because as students were going through high school, very often we were recognizing, educators are recognizing that sometimes they could be flailing, they could be struggling. It is such a big decision. How we wanted to give them tools to help them reflect on what they were interested in. You know, someone can't sit with every single student. I mean, consider the Issaquah High School, for example, when 2,200 students, and say, let me ask you, what are you interested? Let's do this and have these personal interviews. So we're giving them tools to help them, activities, questions, different things to help them figure out and to reflect. And that was missing. And even kids were graduating from high school and saying, I took all the classes I needed to graduate, and I still have no idea what I want to do. Or they would go through high school, get into a program and realize, why did I go into this? I absolutely hate this. Why did you tell me? Was I pushed? Well, sometimes they feel pushed to go into this. So we wanted to make sure kids had the tools to help them and explore what they want to do, because again, the US philosophy is the individual is the driver for their future, and we're trying to give that individual all of the proper tools needed to make this decision. Melanie, do you want to add more to the slide before you take off on high school and beyond?
Nope, that was great. We'll move on to the next slide and I'll continue the presentation. Okay, so we have talked a little bit about how America, and specifically Issaquah School District, frames high school as a time to explore your interests and choose individually how to prepare for the plans that you have after high school. We've talked about how in this country, there are many different ways, many different pathways you can take to get to different post-high school plans. So there is a lot of choice, which is great, but sometimes with choice that comes some uncertainty of like, what is exactly the road I'm supposed to follow? We talked a little bit about the 4 things you have to do to graduate. You have to earn credits in specific graduation areas. You have to complete a high school beyond plan, and I'll talk more about that in just a minute, and do Washington State history. And then you'll also meet a graduation pathway. So I'm going to talk first about high school and beyond plan, and then I'll come back and talk about graduation pathway. And you might still have questions after tonight. And we have another information session coming in February, and the schools will have more in late February and March. So stick with us and we'll keep going through some big picture information. So the high school and beyond plan in Issaquah School District. This is an exercise that's completed during the school day. So for all of our students, 6th through 12th grade this year, at some point in time in their homeroom, advisory, flex, or nest time at school, a teacher will lead them through an activity that is a part of their high school and beyond plan. There's like 1 to 2 lessons per year, and it varies what time of year that the school might be delivering this. There is a lot of activity in February and March. So it could be that your student has not heard about high school and beyond plan yet this year, but will hear about it in the weeks to come. Zello is a website that is the platform where students do their high school and beyond plan. So they all have access to an account in Zello that they can access via ClassLink. Lorna is popping up the district webpage about the high school and beyond plan. So you can find this on our district website. I think earlier I included a link to graduation requirements, and there's a link on that page in the chat. There is a link on that page to high school and beyond plan where you can see these further details. It'll tell you about Zello, how students log into Zello, how families can log into Zello. And then there is the slide deck for each lesson that students will receive at some point in time, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. So there's a lot of information on the district website to learn more. Lauren, I'm going to ask you for now to close the browser so I can see the slide deck. Okay, and we'll come back to that in question and answer time. At the end of students' high school career, their high school and beyond plan culminates with a senior exit interview. It's meant to give them the experience of doing a business casual job interview. So they come in prepared for a job interview with a copy of their resume. They sit and talk with an adult. Often it is a school teacher or a volunteer from the community. We shake their hand. We ask them to talk about themselves, answer some specific interview questions. It's about a 5-minute experience, and it gives them a chance to show what they have learned about themselves over the course of their high school and beyond plan years, and also to practice that adult task of doing a job interview. Really great experience. So over the course of the high school and beyond plan exercises in 6th through 12th grade, students will do career interest survey. They will explore those career matches that come from the interest survey so that they can look through. Just because this career matchmaker says this job is a fit for me, I might say further, I like this job, I like that job, maybe this one not so much. And there could be a job that I wasn't matched to that is still my passion. I can learn more about that career and then save that to my profile and continue to plan for that career as part of my high school and beyond plan. They'll learn more about the educational opportunities available to them in high school. They'll learn about financial aid and college planning and resume creation. So those are some of the exercises that they'll do over the course of the years in high school and beyond plan. But an important thing to remember is this is built into their school day. There is not a grade on this. It is just an exercise that they continue to build year over year as they're preparing for their life after high school. Okay, next slide, Lorna. Okay, so like I said, Zello is the platform that students use. It's web-based. All students have access to Zello from the time they enter 6th grade. If they log into ClassLink, the students within their ClassLink account will see a link to Zello. They click on Zello and that gets them into their Zello account. Parents can also access Zello. It's a little bit more complicated. We have to send you an invite via email, and then you have to click on that invite within 7 days in order to access the account. So tomorrow afternoon, I will send all parents a Zello invite. So if you have not already joined Zello family and taken a look at your student's account, you'll be able to do so from an invite I send tomorrow. And we can answer some more questions about this at the end of the session. Some of your students may not have seen Zello yet because activities are still getting up and running in the school. So in previous years, it was more common for students not to start on Zello until 7th or 8th grade. This year, we are starting a push so that every 6th grader will see Zello from the time that they begin middle school. So by the end of this year, all 6th through 12th graders should have seen Zello. Within the Zello website, there is also a really neat tool called Course Planner that allows 8th through 11th grade students to make a plan for their 4 years of high school courses to meet their high school graduation requirements. So it's a good visual tool where they can say, okay, I need English 9, what classes are available, and add that to their plan. It's not how they request their courses, but it is a good organizing tool on their Zello account, which will be saved and updated each year, where they can think through, how am I going to meet all of my graduation requirements and plan for my future? So our 8th and 9th grade students will hear about that in school, but all students have access to that right now, and they could stumble across that and start to explore it on the Zello website. Okay, next slide. Okay, so Course Planner, I just talked a little bit about this. Course Planner is a tool in Zello. It allows you to build a 4-year schedule. This tool matches all of our Issaquah School District course codes to the specific graduation requirement areas that those courses meet. So a student, as they plug in courses, the system will say, yes, you've met your graduation requirements. Each year or each semester, as students complete classes in high school, there is a feed from our student information system into Zello to update a student's plan. So if they ended up taking a course other than what they had initially put into their plan, they drop a course or they change a course, or this won't happen to any of our students, but they might fail a course. The plan will be updated as a result of how each semester goes. And then they can go back into the tool and plan for any new needs that might have come up as a result of how their schedule went. So yeah, after each semester, earned credits are reflected. They can continue to update their plan in high school. So there's certain times of the year where it isn't available because we're doing actual, master schedule planning. But typically from October through spring break through like early April, that tool is open and students can plan in it. And they'll use this just as like kind of a thought organizer when they're preparing for their course requests in March. Students are encouraged, yeah. So throughout high school, there is a lot of choice options available for students. And as they think about, well, who do I want to be after high school? This exercise is prompting them to think like, okay, for my post-high school plan, what courses could I be taking that are helping me explore that interest or prepare for that plan? Okay, next slide. Okay, and Zello for families. Like I said, all families can access their student's account, and they can also see a demo student account. So you could go through the same career matchmaking exercise that a student has and see what jobs Zello might recommend for you. And you can explore, similarly, you can explore careers and learn more about are they in high demand? What is the estimated salary for jobs? What education might you need for those jobs? It's a really, really great resource. So the Zello family invites must be linked to the parent email that is listed in Skyward. So whatever email address you have within our student information system, that is the email address to which I can send a Zello family invite. And like I said, tomorrow, I will proactively send invites out to all families who are not yet linked to their student Zello account. So if you get an email from Zello, click on the link and it'll walk you through how to access your own Zello family account. As you move into February and March, and students will be seeing more about this in advisory or homeroom or flex, that's a really good time to be asking your student just questions of what are they planning for next year and have they seen Course Planner? How are the courses they're selecting related to their post-high school plans? And this is just a great opportunity for a family and their student to just start a conversation about what life after high school might look like. And the great thing about Zello is very recently they have updated their website. So it is now available in 130 languages. And hopefully I can demonstrate that at the end of the meeting today. So that makes it much more accessible.
And going
Yes.
back to the Zello conversation, when my child was in eighth grade, I have two children in the Issaquah school district, one in middle and one in high. She came home and she was telling me, "Oh, I think I might be interested in this career and this career and this career." And I was just like, "Oh, wow, what's happening here? Where did you get this? Where did you hear about it?" And it was through her activities in Zello. And then I think it was in 10th grade, she came home and she was saying, "Oh, I think I want to go to University of Michigan and maybe Wisconsin has my program." And I'm like, "Okay, that's amazing. Like, where did you hear about these options and the program and what I didn't even realize you've been looking into certain programs for college." And she'd been doing that all in school through the uh, Zello app. And I was shocked. And Melanie and I talked about it. And I'm like, "Melanie, what is this amazing thing called Zello? I need to learn more because I think more families need to learn about it because it's amazing. It's a great conversation starter. But for some parents who might not really know all the different options or want to do so much homework to try to figure out that each of the different colleges that have certain programs and so much work to do your research, it is such an amazing tool. And so she said, "Yep, it's coming." And I was very excited. And so we're very happy to present this because I think it's a great way for parent and children to have really good conversation about the child's interest. Because very often I hear from families, "I don't know how to make this decision or how to support my child make such important decisions that's going to impact them potentially for years." So that's one of the reasons we're talking about this.
Thank you, Carmen. Okay, so we've talked about that there are specific total number of credits and subject area requirements that you need. We've talked about how you need to complete a high school and beyond plan, and that's built into your school day. And then the last graduation requirement I want to talk to you about. It's kind of a very big picture concept. So we use the word pathways to mean a lot of different things, but there is a specific graduation requirement to meet a graduation pathway in order to earn a high school diploma. And we'll take a little bit of time to explain what that is because it's not obvious from just the title alone. So in 2020, so in 2008, the state of Washington said we should have a high school and beyond plan and made that a graduation requirement. In 2020, the state said, instead of requiring students to meet a state assessment test to graduate, we should change it and we should be more flexible. And instead of having one state assessment requirement to graduate, we should create multiple different graduation pathways. And as long as a student has met one of those pathways, that helps them prepare for their post-high school goal that they've developed in their high school and beyond plan. then that pathway should be acceptable. There's not one road for everybody. There should be multiple roads. And so they created the graduation pathway requirement with that sort of self-exploration and choice in mind. And they aligned these pathways under kind of an idea of you're gonna choose a pathway that helps ready you for the goal that you have immediately after high school. And that goal might be college readiness, it might be career readiness, or it might be military readiness. And also you might change your mind and be pursuing military readiness and then later want to go to college, or go to college and then later want to pursue military readiness. So none of this is that you have to have it all figured out, but it is meant to encourage all students to be thinking about preparing for their next step after high school. So I'll tell you a little bit more in the slides to come about these pathways. So I'll start with demonstrating your readiness to go to college. So we know that colleges, and when I say college, I mean a very broad term, not just for your university, but for your colleges, universities, two-year programs, technical schools, any sort of higher education after high school. And that is a very broad term in the United States. So we know that most college programs will have some sort of standard of readiness to do college level English and college level math for which students should prepare. And so the graduation pathway to college is centered around showing your college readiness in the area of English or English language arts and in math. And you can do so via any combination of ways that you show readiness in English or math. And there's a lot of choices, so we won't get too deep into the weeds here, but you could take a state assessment that shows you've met college ready standards. That's the Smarter Balanced Assessment, or SBA, that students take in 10th grade. You might take an SAT or ACT, and that score might show that you have college ready standards met in English and or in math. You might take an AP or an IB class, or a Running Start class, or a CTE class that has dual credit in the area of English or math. And those could meet that English, show that you have that college readiness in English and or in math. So when I say the term dual credit, what that means, dual credit means a class that a student can earn both college and high school credit for taking the class. And there's a lot of ways that you can do that in high school. You'll hear a little bit more about that in our February presentation.
Melanie, I'm going to pause you for 1 second. There was a question asked about two-year college and four-year degrees. So a two-year degree is usually for an associate's degree, and students can get an associate's degree because certain jobs and certain careers require an associate's degree to get that job, to show qualification to move on. Some jobs are going to ask for a four-year degree, which is a bachelor's degree, and that is going to be a certain other skill and requirement for certain careers and certain career pathways. So it's going to be dependent on what you're interested in doing in your career pathway and your future. After a bachelor's degree, you can then go and earn your master's. After a two-year degree, you can also then go to a college to earn a bachelor's degree and then to maybe earn a master's and then a PhD. So it's really steps, but some people go to a two-year degree first, get that as they're figuring out what their bigger plan is, and other kids go straight to a four-year degree. Okay.
So students who go into a two-year degree, they might finish a program and be done with the education that they want to pursue after 2 years, but they can also earn what's called a transfer associate's degree. So after completing 2 years in a two-year college, they then transfer into a four-year degree halfway through. So they don't do 2 years and then another 4 years. They do their first 2 years at a two-year college, and then they do their third and fourth year of a four-year program at the four-year degree. So like this is just one more example of many different ways to get to the same end goal. Okay, Lorna, I am not seeing things in the chat, so it must be that only you have access. Are there other questions?
I do. Yeah, that was one question. I answered it. I've been answering other questions in the chat as I can.
Okay. Next slide. Okay, so we talked a little bit about showing college readiness via the graduation pathway. Another graduation pathway is centered around career readiness. And this is even kind of more of a broad term. The state determined that they really wanted to promote the excellent classes that we have in career and technical ed in Washington State. So there are many high school classes within the subject area of career and technical ed. Some examples are engineering, child development, fashion design, computer science, culinary arts, construction, really broad category. And for all of these career and technical ed classes, our teachers and our district must meet some very particular standards set by the state that mean that these classes are giving students a good introduction and then further exploration into the career fields that might relate to those jobs. And so the state of Washington created a career readiness path that said students who complete 2 credits within one program area of career and technical education that include a class that could give them a certification or college credit should be able to say they've met a graduation pathway. And so with that career sequence of classes, you've really gone a deeper dive in a particular area and shown interest towards going into that field. That might be that you took an introduction to computer science, a web design class, and then AP computer science. That would be an example of a CTE sequence of classes. Some students will meet honestly, our students take a lot of CTE before this was ever a requirement. So the very first year that we were tracking this data, we found that a very high percentage of our students create a CTE sequence without even trying to, just by naturally exploring classes that are of interest to them. So students who are interested in pursuing a career after high school, they could also complete a college readiness pathway and demonstrating their proficiency in ELA and math. And that would also help to prepare them to enter the career field. I see a question in the chat. What is CTE? It stands for Career and Technical Education. So you can show career readiness by showing college readiness. And if we go to the next page, I'll also show that career readiness can also factor into college readiness.
Melanie, I'm going to interrupt you for 2 questions.
Yes.
And one was on this page, we didn't, so ACT and SAT are one of the assessments students can take to fulfill the graduation pathway to college. Yes. Students also take the SBA to fulfill the graduation pathway to college. And note, for all of these tests, they have to earn a certain score. So it's not just, I did the test, boom, I'm done. You have to take an SBA test and earn a certain number of points for both the ELA, English Language Arts, and the math section. You have to take the SAT and score a certain number on the 2 sections, and for math, same, SAT, same thing. So basically for the college, graduation to college pathway, one of the ways to fulfill this pathway is taking one of these 3 tests and or 4 tests and earning a certain score or the dual credit and earning credit which is high school and college credit, through taking classes in one of these different programs. And we're not going to go into details about the programs. This is mainly to show that the college career pathway, you need to take a test, and the school district offers the SBA for all students for free. SAT, is it for free too now?
There is a nominal fee to take the SAT during the school day, but it is also offered at the high school during certain years of high school.
Okay. And then the other question that was being asked was IB and AP, is that a requirement? And the answer is it's not. This is just options for family,
Choice,
for
all
students.
about
Choice.
choice. Yeah. Okay, so on to the next slide, Lorna.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay, so I wanted to talk just a little bit about the connections between career readiness and college readiness. So these career readiness pathways can also help a student prepare for college, right? So I might want to become an engineer. I might be planning to go to a four-year college for engineering. And while I'm should be college ready in English and math, I can also explore a CTE sequence of courses that help me prepare for exploring and getting into that career. So I might take Intro to Engineering, which is a year-long class, and I might take a AP Computer Science class. I don't know. I keep using AP Computer Science. I got to think of some other strands, but those two classes would be good preparation for an interest in engineering, and also they would help me being ready for college. So a CTE sequence can be used in preparation for college. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to get into college, nor does a college readiness path guarantee that you will get into all colleges, but it is one step that you've taken towards being ready for your post-high school plan. And it helps you earn that high school diploma, which is another step towards going to college. Many of our CTE classes are college level classes, and students can earn college credit in them. So they are considered rigorous by college admissions officers. I think it is really, really great opportunity for students to dive a little bit deeper into something that could be a field for them in their adult life. So these career readiness pathways can help them prepare for college in addition to additional college planning. And I'll note that on a student's transcript, which is their record of everything they've done in high school, it will show whether or not a graduation pathway has been met, but not how it's met. So colleges aren't looking at which was your graduation pathway as a part of the college application process. It is more truly to encourage students' growth and exploration through high school. I'm not sure if that makes sense. Lorna, did that make sense to you?
Sorry, I was answering a question.
Okay. Any additional questions in the chat so far?
I'm answering a question. It's not specific to this right
Okay.
now. So.
Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so a little bit more about CTE, Career and Technical Education. These are courses that help students explore a wide variety of fields and careers while they're still in high school. It gives them a chance to try out a lot of things. Hopefully they try things out and they love it. We've got a really incredibly popular business and marketing program. We have sports medicine program. We have curriculum in American Sign Language, which is a very high demand career for translators and interpreters. There's child development, there's construction, there's criminal justice, forensics, many, many different types of careers that could be explored through these classes. So these classes prepare students with technical, academic, and employability skills. So regardless of what the subject area is, the CTE teacher will be teaching it with a lens both of academics and employability for success in the workplace. So the big 6 CTE program areas in Washington State, these are sort of like an umbrella, and then certain classes fall within each program area. Agriculture is a big program area. We don't have any courses in that category yet, but we are seeking to add them. Business and marketing, which includes computer science. Family and consumer sciences, includes child development. Health sciences, I think sports med falls within health science. Skilled and technical sciences, a lot of technical art, a lot of hands-on skill falls within there. And then science, technology, engineering, and math, so like our engineering program falls within the STEM category. These are set by Washington State. And when we develop our CTE classes, they must meet specific parameters of that program area. So when a student takes 2 credits all within one program area, that means they've met a CTE sequence, which could be a graduation pathway requirement met. And there's links in this slide deck to show the CTE courses offered at the high schools, and also CTE sequences that could meet graduation pathways. So this gets into a lot of detail, but there's a lot of time to learn. I think in the short term, as you're thinking about your students selecting courses for next year, I'm really seeing CTE as a great opportunity for them to explore is a good takeaway.
Couple things. One, how and where would we be able to see courses offered at a given school? Great question. When I send you this link, you can just click straight on this link, and we've linked it to a page on the website. But I found it on the website as a high school parent. I was super excited, and so I want to make sure all of you know where to find it. And so this one over here, it says IHS, LHS, Liberty, Issaquah, and Skyline. And it shows you all the CTE classes offered at the different schools. Some of them are offered at all 3 schools, some of them at only 2 schools or certain schools. So it gives you that information. For
And
example,
over on the left, it is showing you the program area that the course falls into. So there's some classes at the top that are accepted within all the program areas. And then it
business and
shifts
marketing, humanities, STEM,
health
health
science,
sciences.
skilled and technical.
Okay. And one of the things I really want to focus on also is we talked about 2-year colleges and how is 2-year colleges versus 4-year colleges. One of the things is for certain health science fields, those are 2-year degrees versus, let's say, becoming a doctor, a nurse, certain types of nurse, RN, and so forth. That might be a 4-year degree. And that's why you're going to, depending on what your career is, pathway you want to go into, you might go into a 2-year college versus a 4-year college. But there are also some health science courses. Like right now, sports medicine and being a physical therapist is highly, highly in demand, super competitive field. And Issaquah High School, for example, has one of the top programs in the state for sports medicine. And those are all CTE classes. And they also fall into, there are also many colleges that have highly competitive programs for that. So depending on same thing with a lot of the photography and graphic design, CTE classes that are 2-year programs. And so some jobs are going to offer people with 2-year programs that job. Other jobs are mainly going to be for people with 4-year programs for certain graphic design skills and, careers, basically skills, like if they have a bachelor's or an associate. So there are so many different ways to go through all of this. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is, does this presentation to apply to all high schools? Melanie, there was a question about Gibson. And so this is, in my opinion, this presentation is mainly designed for Issaquah High. Liberty and Skyline, and Gibson Eck is project-based learning. You can talk more.
Gibson Eck is a different experience, but students at Gibson Eck do have to meet a graduation pathway, and they do have to meet the high school and beyond plan. So that is built into their program, but how we would talk about it at Gibson Eck would be a little bit different than how we talk about it in this presentation, since Gibson Eck is not a credit or course-based program. So Gibson Eck, I believe they will be having an open house coming up really soon. If you are, Gibson Eck is an amazing program. It is really, truly like the picture of student exploration. I would strongly encourage you, if you haven't heard of it, if you have an 8th grade student, this is a choice high school. They could request to attend instead of one of our comprehensive high schools. And you could learn more by Googling Gibson Eck High School. And they've got a great page that shows all about enrolling at Gibson Eck.
And last question, Melanie, at what parents are asking, can the CTE classes be taken at any grade, or is it specifically starts at a certain grade level?
Many of these classes are open to 9th through 12th graders. There might be some that you have to wait until 10th or 11th grade to take. What I would emphasize is this list is really great for seeing it within the framework of a CTE sequence. But I would strongly encourage you to check out each high school's course catalog, because the course catalog has a subject area about CTE. You can see all of the CTE classes that they offer by looking in that subject area. And then you can click on each class to see a description of the class, including what grade levels that it's open to. So the course catalogs are really, really a great resource. That would be my first recommendation. And then this is a good follow-up tool so that you can see courses within program areas overall too.
And certain classes like personal finance, future ready, I've known a lot of 9th graders who have taken that. But a lot of this is something that you really want to map and say, when is this the best time to take this? Maybe it is my junior or senior year as I'm really trying to hone in, or maybe I start taking a class as a 10th grader because then I want to go into the next more advanced classes. But just keeping in mind, and so that's one of the reasons you kind of want to think of like a big picture. I really, really like this. And so what is my plan to get to that? And people are asking for this link. And please note that this link is built into the slide deck. When we get to the end of the slide deck, you can fill out a feedback form and I'll send this to you, or this will be posted on the website and I will be able to share it with you, or you'll be able to get to this link on the website. Okay, so I'm not going to be sharing it right now. It's too many things that we are doing at the same time. So we're trying to focus on this. Okay, so next slide.
Okay, so as we said, students might be working towards demonstrating college readiness. They might be working towards demonstrating career readiness, or they might be working towards demonstrating military readiness. And for students that have an interest in joining the military, whether it is for more job training, for education, it could be that they have an interest in the military after going to college. We want to make sure that we are supporting their goals and preparation for a military-related career as well. So students who plan to join the military, whether it is right after high school or at some later point in time. Also, I'll just tell you about this opportunity because it could be something that students who aren't interested in the military also choose to do. There is a really great aptitude test called the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. That's the ASVAB test. And this test is something that a student can take, and based on the score on that test, if they were to enlist in the military, the military would look at that score as sort of like an entrance point for enlisting. So it is specifically useful for a student who is going to enlist in the military to have completed the ASVAB. That's a test they'll need to complete in order to enlist. However, students can take the ASVAB without ever talking to a military recruiter or sharing their scores with the military. It is solely up to the student to choose whether or not to share their scores with the military. So many students might choose to take the test because it's just one more great way to learn about their skill set and how it might relate to a career. So even if they never decide to join the military, the ASVAB could show that they have an aptitude that would fall into a specific type of career that may be available in the military and outside of the military. So our college and career centers at each high school offer the ASVAB at least once each year. I think they offer it multiple times. And if you have more interest in this, that's something that you could do. Just an internet search on the term ASVAB or take a look at our college and career websites. But it is a great way to support students with military interest.
Great question. In the chat, Melanie, if a
Yeah.
student wants to go to West Point, is
Mhm.
this the pathway or is it through college? Because
Why not try both? Because that could be a good opportunity to learn about their skill set within a military field. And also at West Point, they're going to have to show college readiness in English, language arts, and math. So I'll take that point and say many of our students meet multiple pathway requirements. So many of our students have passed the SBA, they've taken an AP or IB or Running Start class.
taken an
They
SAT or
have done a
SAT.
CTE sequence. They've taken, I mean, our students really explore quite a lot while they're in high school. So there is nothing wrong with meeting multiple graduation pathways as well. All of it is back to the point of exploring and preparing for possible options after high school. Okay. So getting back to the bigger picture, what would we suggest for students? So thinking in this very American school system of student choice and exploration, I will say I would keep these like big picture points in mind. Plan broadly, right? So you may not know exactly what you want to do after high school, but the more paths you keep open, the more opportunity you have after high school. So right now, well, let's talk about me when I was in high school. I wanted to be a vet. So I planned for college in the science field. And I quickly learned that I actually do not enjoy science. I just enjoy animals. So I shifted gears and I moved into a helping centered career. And that was the right fit for me. So planning broadly, I might keep all of my options open. I might not be sure in high school whether college is for me, but if I'm preparing towards it, then I'm helping to keep that pathway open. Should I change my mind and decide, yes, actually, I really do want to go to college. So keeping all of those interests in mind, it's really about a time to explore and to open doors rather than shut them. Exploring your options, staying engaged at school, participating in the high school and beyond plan exercises when they happen in advisory or homeroom or flex time, doing your homework in classes, doing your just like bigger picture homework of like thinking about where you want to be after high school, using the Zello tools to explore. They have got a ton of information about college majors and about colleges, in addition to information about careers. All of these help a student explore. We for sure will make sure that you get your high school and beyond plan done, but you can do very little or you can do quite a lot depending on your own engagement in the exercise. Check out school resources. So each high school has a college and career center website that's full of information. And then once your student is in high school, We really strongly encourage them to set up an appointment with a college and career center specialist. They've got a lot of resources. They share job opportunities, volunteer opportunities. They bring in college representatives. They provide workshops to help students learn about financial aid or writing college essays or exploring course programs like WANIC or getting work experience credit. So College and Career Center is really an amazing resource that I would strongly encourage students to check out. And then seek help from the staff at your school. So your current teachers are a really great source of learning more about the subject area that they're teaching you. If your student is in high school, their school counselor will be checking in on how they're progressing towards meeting high school graduation requirements. And high school counselor is really there to think about how do we get all of our students to a high school diploma and help remove any barriers that stand in their way, and also help them explore where they want to be after high school. So if you've got questions around those things and your child is already in high school, that could be a starting point, is to partner with their school counselor. And then for students that are in high school already, those college and career specialists are a really, really great resource. Yeah, we mentioned apprenticeship under College and Career Center website. An apprenticeship is a post-high school plan. It is a program where you work with an on-the-job training program, and you get a combination of pay for your work while also getting mentorship and study within that field. So students that are going into trades like electrical, construction, plumbing, welding, these apprenticeships are really amazing opportunities that get them directly into the field, earning a very healthy living wage. So really great opportunity to check out.
Melanie, a great question asked, and the question is, are students allowed to retake Zello Matchmaker quiz? It's not really a
Yes,
quiz, but
yes,
students, okay, go
it is.
ahead.
It's kind of like a quiz. It's kind of like you answer a series of questions, and based on those questions, it tells you if you answered like people who love their job in a specific career, then it'll show you that you would match to that career. So there is a way on Zello. If a student has already done their career matchmaker, I believe they can look at their name in the upper right corner, and there's a drop-down menu. And within that drop-down menu, I think there is an option to reset matchmaker. I will have to look at it to make sure that's exactly the place. There is for sure a way to do it.
Okay, great question. And another question, I'm going to go ahead and just ask it now because it keeps on reoccurring. So parents, I think from the Skyline area or going to Skyline, are concerned that if Skyline is offering IB classes, do they have to take AP classes to graduate? So I did mention that AP and IB are not required to graduate. They are
Correct.
options. Do
Yes.
you want to address that a little bit more?
Yeah, yeah. So I think on one of our slides, we talked about the term dual credit. And dual credit means taking a class that will earn both high school and college credit. And there are many different dual credit programs. So AP is an example of a dual credit program. IB is an example. Running Start is an example. CTE dual credit is an example. And then there's also a program called College in the High School. None of these are required to graduate, but all of these are really great high school options to challenge yourself a little bit further. So if you're a student who you're excited about what you're learning, you're ready for a little bit more of a challenge, you can opt into a higher level of rigor. And any one of these programs is college level course. So what we hear from um, say University of Washington, which do you prefer, Running Start or AP? Every year they say, we prefer rigor. We're not specific about what kind of rigor, whether it's Running Start or AP or IB or other CTE dual credit. What we want to see is a student is challenge themselves in high school. So all of these programs offer a way to challenge yourself in curriculum that is more college paced while you're still in high school. And so IB and AP and Running Start and CTE dual credit, all of these are a way that you can explore rigor. None of them are specifically required.
And what Melanie just said is key because this is an theme I hear very often from high school counselors about their conversation with parents. That parents often ask them, what's best? Should I do this or should I do that? What is the best way for me to get into, what classes should I take to get into the UW or to Harvard or to Boston University, whichever. And the answer always is, we can't tell you because there's no one way. There are many options, and the colleges are looking for well-rounded students. They're looking for rigor, they're looking for participation, they're looking for passion, they're looking for all these different things. And so, how do you demonstrate that? And so, that's one of the things. I'm going to also ask you, Melanie, one of the questions that's come up is, are the courses school specific? And some of the courses are school specific. So, what if a student likes a course in another school? Will they be able to take it?
That is a good and complex question. There are certain courses in the CTE program that you could choose to pursue in a different building if it isn't offered in your building. But I will also say that doing so is not a simple or easy thing to do. So there is not sufficient travel time between high schools to end one class first period at one school and drive to another school for second period. I think I would have to get clarification on this from our CTE director, but I believe that that this is a good time of year to search open enrollment on the district website. There is the opportunity at a certain time of year, once a year, for families to say, hey, I would like to, let's say I'm at Skyline, but I really am very interested in a career within the Navy, and Liberty has a very amazing naval science program. So I want my child to switch schools from Skyline to Liberty. I think you would fill out an open enrollment request. And I don't know all of the specifics about how that's processed. Lorna, why don't we look up more specific answers and include it in the information that we provide after the fact?
Okay. Another
So
question.
possible, but also complicated. Yes.
Yes. Let's go to the next couple of slides and then we'll answer questions that are
Okay.
coming up in chat. Okay. So the next slide is.
Okay, so next steps. So you've learned a lot tonight. There's a lot to take in. You probably still have a lot of questions. One thing that your student could do, now they don't have to do this right now. They can wait until it's delivered in class, but they could just choose to do this either for the first time, go on to Zello and check out the matchmaker and start exploring career interests. Or like we had the question earlier, if they've already done this, but they want to refresh their results, they could go into Zello and they could reset their matchmaker and do the career match again. Families can also do matchmaker as a demo student from their Zello family account. So once you get the invite to Zello family, or you log into Zello family because you've already accepted the account, you can click on demo student and then click on matchmaker and do the career interest inventory for yourself. and maybe you'll find out about another career that you might want to still explore in your life. You can also, students can also already look at Course Planner in Zello. So we'll show, I think we'll have enough time for me to quickly show Zello before we finish. Course Planner is a link you'll see right there on the first page, and it's also under Goals and Plans. I'll just give you a fair warning. We are still updating Course Planner with all of the details about courses for next year. So it's in there and it's available to use, but there's a chance that we may be adding additional classes or canceling some classes or changing some things as we prepare for course request season kicking off after midwinter break. And then you can look at each high school's current course catalog on their website. We are doing a big update on course catalog. So we will have a brand new district-wide course catalog coming out after midwinter break. So while I can't show you the 2025-2026 course catalog just yet, you can learn a lot about what our schools are offering by looking at the 2024-2025 course catalog that's offered on their website right now. So just a great time to just explore far weeks ahead of when your student will make their course requests later in March.
Okay, so let's get through the next couple of slides, and then I will have you navigate and pilot for the Zello. So a couple events that are coming up. If your child is in high school, so this is only for families who have children in high school, every year there is an event called Great Careers Expo. And the goal of this event is to educate students about careers they can pursue through on-the-job training, the military certification, apprenticeships, or two-year college programs. So keep that in mind. They do a field trip. Last year, students went to Renton Technical College. This year, students are going to Bellevue College, and they had to fill out this field trip permission form to go on this to this event. And this again was for students 9th through 12th grade only. And a lot of these career expos are for two-year colleges, apprenticeship programs, on-the-job training programs, military, um, technical school programs. Renton Technical College last year had great programs on culinary arts, on welding, on auto mechanics, on art, on all these different topics, careers offered or skills offered at Renton Tech. So the link will be there in the if you've completed the feedback form. A lot of people are asking for the slide deck and the links. If you complete the feedback form, you get the slide deck and the link emailed to you, and you can always go to my website and get the slide deck from the website later on next week. And that information was in the email I sent you with this Zoom link. Next, I noticed that a lot of the families here are eighth graders. So if your child is an eighth grader, you are probably a little bit overwhelmed with the course selection and what classes are offered at which school and when can I take it and so forth. Well, this is just an introduction. Now, if you're an eighth grader, when you get in February, and then there's going to be one more presentation for getting ready from eighth grade to high school by me. That's just, again, basic information so that when you go to your high school presentation, it makes more sense. And then your high school counselors will do a bigger presentation in March. That's going to go, I can't remember if it's March or late
February or early March,
yeah,
depending
late
on
February, early March. But the sessions will be to give them more guidance on what courses to take. In ninth grade, honestly, there aren't that many options. You're taking most of the required classes in order to graduate before you take some of the more elective and optional classes. But they'll give you a great framework to help you prepare for what courses to take in ninth grade, and then also what to consider to taking through the rest of your high school years. So those are two upcoming events to keep in mind to help you with a lot of the questions that may have come up that you still have. And then, as I kept on saying, you're welcome to complete the feedback form. And once you complete the feedback form, I will send you the slide deck. And also, we are recording this presentation. We will be sending you the presentation and the recording. If you have more questions, if your child is in high school, especially in grades 10 through 12, please check in with your school counselor. Have an appointment with your child and the school counselor. If you just have general questions about school policy and information, mainly general information, not specifically about your child's plan, you can contact a family liaison and they can tell you more about school policy procedures and the system kind of information. And then I have some resources at the end. I'm going to add a few more resources based on some parent questions. One of the parents asked, what is the SAT or ACT test score requirement for a college pathway? And there is a number, and I'll send you that website that tells you what score students need for SATs, ACTs, what are the dual credit classes students need for the college career, because it's very specific, lots of number and details. And so I will add that to this. Let me see. There's one more question. We can take a few more questions before we have Melanie, Melanie do the demonstration of Zello family.
Hi, I just have one question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So you were talking about the history class, right? History of Washington.
Oh, Washington State
State
history.
history.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my son already took that in the 7th grade. Does he have to take it again in high school?
Taking it in 7th grade meets the state requirements. So no, he doesn't have to do it in high school. He will already have met the requirement in 7th grade.
So he doesn't have to take it. Okay. Thank you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
We only brought it up for families who moved in after 7th grade or for students who started school in the Issaquah School District
Even if
or
I
a
did,
Washington State school after 7th grade, and for any student who may have missed taking that class in middle school. If you've already taken it in middle school, it will count and you don't need to worry about it.
Got
You
it.
could take it for fun in high school just because you want to.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
I'm going to stop sharing. And Melanie, I think once I stop sharing and you can now open Zello and you can share your screen.
Okay.
Do you want to navigate Zello family?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, let's see if I can share now. Okay, are you seeing the Zello website?
Yes.
Okay. It's a little, let's see if I can drag things around so I can see the website and Zoom. So this is an example of what a student will see in Zello. You'll see at the top, there are some links, and when I hover over them, I see more details. Under About Me, this matchmaker is how I would start doing the career matchmaker exercise. By answering the first set of questions, I'll complete matchmaker and I'll see some career results. And I can go deeper by answering additional questions under personality style and mission complete. And that will further refine my career results. I can also, for fun, just take a quiz about learning style and learn if I'm a visual or tactile or auditory learner. I can see some related links. I can learn about creating a resume. And then this is really great. I can start to explore careers, colleges, majors, and pathways. So let me click on pathways as an example. First, you see the career, schools, and majors at the top. And when I scroll down, it's talking about here where it says pathways, it's talking about different things that a student might want to do after high school. And so let's say I'm interested in a technical or vocational training. I can click on there and it'll tell me more about what I might expect exploring that pathway after school, some of the jobs that I could get, what the finances might be, next steps that I can take. And I might save this to my plan. It'll give me some next steps that I might want to do to explore this. I can say done, and I can also change my mind later. So there's nothing that prevents me from deciding, well, this isn't a pathway for me. I want to do something different later. If you ever get lost, you can just click on Zello in the upper left and you'll see all the links. There's also some quick links over on the right. So you can quickly link to Matchmaker. You can quickly link to Course Planner, college planning. There's really great tools here. And there are some good links down on the right to the slide decks for that 8th grades. I think I'm logged in as an 8th grader. They're the presentations that they'll see in homeroom or advisory about their high school and beyond plan. So if they just like working ahead, they could look at those slide decks or they could look at them afterwards. Let me click on Course Planner here. Oh, let's see if I was right about how to reset Career Matchmaker. It does not look like I can reset Career Matchmaker here, but I could change my language to Spanish, Filipino, French. So by clicking in the icon in the upper right, I get the opportunity to change the language for the site. Let's choose Spanish. And now my website is available in Spanish. I'm going to change it back to English. Okay. And then I think so for career, it looks like I did the Matchmaker. So I'm going to click on Matchmaker and it will likely show me my results. And I think from here that I can reset. About me. From About Me, you see career matchmakers. I obviously didn't fill this one out myself because it would match me to high school counselor rather than corporate lawyer. But over on the right, so this shows all of the careers that I was matched to when I took this quiz. And at that ... menu, I can review my answers to see how I was matched to these careers, or I can reset Matchmaker and I can take it again for the first time. So if I click review my answers, you'll see how each answer resulted in, I said like or dislike. I could also change these here and say, I don't know, I don't like working with kids. That's not true. I really like working with kids. So I'm going to change it back, but you could adjust answers here and then it might give you some different matches, but this is kind of showing how did I get matched to these careers? It's based on these answers that I gave. So let's say that I look at one of these jobs. I'm going to click on that was a good match. And it's going to tell me all about this job description, similar jobs related to this. I'm going to learn, I could see some interviews from people about what they like about this job or what to expect. Can see, is it a high demand job and what are some of the things that I would expect in the workplace? How might it match to different personality styles? So my styles when I took this quiz were helper, persuader, and organizer. And this does match in the persuader. It's made about the work condition, earnings, how I might get into this career, education necessary, majors related to it. And then I could click on one of those majors and I would learn all about that. So anything that I see and I like, whether it is a career or a college or a major, I can click that heart and save it to my Zello account so I can review that again later. And now find that under the About Me page. different things that I've saved to my account. So that's a little bit of what a student can see under Zello and what you as a family member can see when you log into Zello Family and select Demo Student. I'm going to stop sharing. Lorna, questions or next steps?
I do not have any questions. I've answered. There was a question about civics requirement in high school, but that's not about this presentation. The recommendation was to talk to the high school counselor. I am actually going to stop recording because I wanted to make sure I captured your Zello presentation. And the Zello, if parents have asked about how to get that, and I reminded them you're going to be sending the
look for an email from Zello tomorrow.
And then they can explore it. And then it's a great thing to look for themselves, to help them as their child is talking to them, to build conversation about possible college options, career options, possible majors based on what they might be interested. It even talks about the cost of colleges, the salary ranges. It gives you a lot of information all in one place rather than having to do too much research on your own all online. Okay. There was several questions around AP classes still at Skyline versus IB, and AP classes will be offered in Skyline. And so for that specific questions, I would recommend that you wait for your course selection presentation at Skyline in March, and there will be more information coming around AP and IB at Skyline next year and the options. So look for that in March because we're not going to go into that in this presentation.
Schools are still preparing for the course request season after midwinter break.